Talk Talk Live. Sorry about that. We are back and live on Talk Talk Live. Thank you for joining me. And we are live on YouTube now. We are finally live on YouTube. And we're live here in front of our audience here on Instagram. You've always been, well, you had a little issue as well. So we are live on Talk Talk Live here. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But as I was saying to my YouTube audience, and now and continuing with my Instagram audience, yes, you're finding a lot more ladies these days waiting until they're not 30s, not 40s, but 50s to have kids, which is amazing to me. And one story that has recently come up in the news, in terms of social media, in terms of YouTube, you had this one reporter who had a thriving career as a news reporter. She worked for CNN, she worked for different news outlets, and she traveled the world in order to do it. But she could never find a man who suited her needs. So what she decided to do was she decided to, hold her career to put her career on hold, move home, and I mean home with her parents. She's 50 at this time. Decided to move home with her parents and have and adopt a child, which is stunning, which is truly, truly, truly stunning that this woman decided to reverse her career and decided to end things in terms of any sort of engagement around the world, and decided to move home. She decided to move home and have her kid and have her elderly parents, to say the least, they're in their 70s/80s, help her raise this child, which is astonishing to me. Because you'd think, as you will see in a bit, a woman as pretty and as lovely as her would be able to attract a man to have a kid, and she would have kids by now. But no, she decided to stop her career, stop any sort of dating. Something in my eye for a second. This just seems to be. Sorry about this. One moment, people. She decided to stop any sort of. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. See, you take your eye for granted until something falls in it. I tell you that. Hopefully that does the trick. Anyways, hopefully that does the trick. I seem to be back now. Okay, so we have a woman who decided to, stop her career, have a baby, and go home to her parents to help her raise that baby, which is stunning. So we're gonna get into that right now. And just before we do that, what it speaks to is the fact that number one, this is something that is becoming a thing, especially in the African American community, in the African diaspora community in North America, and it's startling. It's startling that pretty ladies cannot be those of you we consider high value women cannot have the standards, have the structure, have the fundamentals to live with a man and raise a family. And it never used to be the case. Remember, before 1968, 80% of black people in North America were married. Now it's down to 25%, especially with females, and it's a bit higher for males, about 33%, which speaks to the fact that black people can't live together, but more importantly, black women can't find a man these days. They can't seem to attract a man to settle down with and to live with and to build a life with. Now it's moved to my throat for some reason. I don't know. This moved from my eye to my throat. Sorry about that. And it is a startling thing. But we're gonna move on to. I'm gonna move on to the browser here. We're gonna move on to the story. And I'm gonna take this from a female perspective and a male perspective, because I want it to be balanced. I want it to be a balanced view. I just want to say hello to a few people who are out there. Thank you for joining me in Talk Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. So here we go. That we are back again. So this is the male perspective. But I'm going to take the female perspective. If you know the lady Tamron Hall. Um, she is a talk show host. Has a syndicated talk show that goes to millions of women and men throughout North America, and is highly popular. She's won an Emmy Award herself. She used to be the host of one of the hosts on the Today Show, and now she's a highly successful talk show host. But she had this lovely lady on air. Her name is Rochelle Carey. Rochelle Carey, who is the 51-year-old who decided to have a child and move back home. So we're going to describe the story now, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live.
To the other side of the world, but a desire to be a mom led to one of the biggest decisions she'd have to make: move home with no job, all for the chance to start her own family.
My name is Rochelle Carey, and I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist. In my career, I'm moving from city to city. Each job is better than the one before. While I was working as a journalist in New York, Al Jazeera gave me this wonderful opportunity in Doha, and I just assumed that my personal life would progress at the same rate. The biological clock, it is a real thing, and it got louder and louder once I hit my 40s. So I froze my eggs. IVF is a physically and emotionally taxing process. I knew that doing IVF was going to cost me a lot of money, and there was a very low chance that it would actually work. But because I was realistic, I was disappointed, but not devastated. Adoption was always something I was open to. I remember my agency sending me some information about a baby that, for some reason, I thought, okay, this might be it. When they picked a different family, it felt personal, like it's a rejection of you. Despite it not working out, I was absolutely sure it was going to happen. I just wasn't sure when.
Fam, please welcome Rochelle to the studio. Thank you. You ended that message saying you were sure it was going to happen, and it did.
It did.
You adopted your son Avery last year. There's Avery. Listen, not to the but actually everything turned out perfectly, and that's why.
Now here again, I mean, congrats to her. Congrats on the new baby that she adopted. And again, it wasn't through a pregnancy in and of itself, but let's call a spade here. She could not humble herself. She could not focus herself on a man. I mean, she had a career in Doha with Al Jazeera as a reporter. All well and good, and I understand, and that is pretty much it. It's a pretty much closed society in Doha, but she couldn't find a man in the free world to have a child, so she decided to end her career and adopt. And she's heralded for this. Now, she's considered a hero. She's considered a heroine. But let's face facts. She's fit, feminine, friendly. Absolutely, she's a gorgeous lady. But was she cooperative and agreeable enough / submissive enough to keep a man? And that is up to you to judge. But for me, that's a no. That's a definite no, and you'll find that a lot with African American women, that their lists stay long, well into their 40s, well into their 50s, to a point where they phase themselves out of the out of the pregnancy process, out of the baby making process, and they decided to do things on their own terms. Now, are these the right terms? Clearly not. But they've had to create a path because they could not, unfortunately, be cooperative and agreeable and coachable and submissive enough to be with a man. I know it's a bit of a controversial thing to do, and every woman, I mean, there are a lot of most women, I wouldn't say all, most women out there are would like to have a family of their own, to have children of their own. But are they humble enough? Are they cooperative enough? Are they submissive enough to do it within a family environment, which is the best case scenario? And in this case, that wasn't the case. Now, I don't know if it's her career that put her out there, that pushed her further away from such possibility, especially if she's living in Doha, in the Middle East. But I mean, I think it speaks to the fact that this woman did not deem men to be, did not, make herself to be. She wasn't a wife. Let's face facts. She wasn't a wife. She wasn't a person to whom, was a wifely candidate. I think she wanted the baby more than a husband. Let's go there. Because if she wanted a husband, she would have made herself eligible for one, but she never did. She simply never did. Let's continue the story, though.
One day he's going to be mad at me for doing that.
Listen, I can just kiss that picture. Today is 1 year to the day that you met him.
Yep. To the first time that I actually laid eyes on him. And then 4 days later, I physically had custody of him. So, yeah, 1 year.
Again, I don't hear any pertinent questions with regards to her relationship status to be asked here, and they won't. To be fair, they won't, because again, they don't want to name and shame women who have. I mean, 50 years ago they would have, but today they would not. I mean, because the whole "I could do bad all by myself" rules over everything. Unfortunately, she could not. She came from a two. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about it. She came from a two-parent home. It's not as if she didn't know about the tradition of marriage. It's not as if she wasn't raised by the best people. But even those with the best education, the best people, and the best families possible, still are left out of the process, or wish to be left out of the process. And it's a shame, because I think she was raised right. I think she had, from all accounts, she had upstanding family morals and great role models in terms of family. But she never took it on. But I think that's because of the modern woman culture. And here she is, alone with a baby, having to move home to raise him, and she never even had it on her own. Does anybody see a problem with that? I know a lot of women won't see a problem with that, but men do. But again, she won't be held to account on a talk show headed by a woman. She won't be held to account for it. She won't. She'll be celebrated. She'll be held aloft. She'll be carried on all shoulders and deemed to be, a role model to women at 50, that you can have it all. Oh yes, you can move home and can have babies, but the problem is, can you live with a man? And that's clearly not the case in this instance. Let's continue.
Going back to the years of not being a mom, you traveled, you were all over the world, traveling internationally. Was there a tug at defining family as motherhood?
Yes. I thought I was progressive.
I had to pause it right there before she answered the question. But see, that's the time. This is a time when you can ask the question of, what happened to your dating prospects? What happened to those? Clearly, she's heterosexual. By all accounts, by all inferences, you never can tell these days. We have to hold that out there. But from all accounts, she seems to be heterosexual, and this seems to be a time where you're gonna ask her about her relationship status. Why did she wait this long? But in this instance, in these confines, she will not have to have to answer that question. That question won't be asked of her. That's what I'm trying to say. And that needs to be asked. And that needs to be asked about most women. Why are you indeed not so cooperative and submissive when you had all the tools and you knew how to be a wife? You had a mother and a father who should have taught her those things, but she never took those things on. My second example, there's every right in which, she didn't have to be cooperative and submissive, but she had all the tools, but she never used them. It's crazy.
Aggressive enough that I would say you don't have to be a mom to have a family, because I truly, truly believe that, and some people are that way. But I finally had to admit that for me personally, I really wanted to be a mom. I wasn't any less significant when I wasn't a mother, but that was the last piece that I really needed.
You decided to freeze your eggs at the time you were 43. How? Because I know people will often ask us about our jobs, and they make assumption that you don't have a kid because you're selfish or that you don't want one. Meanwhile, you're going through this rigorous and painful procedure, and you can't say anything really about it, or you choose not to.
Right, choose not to.
And people are making assumptions about how you define family.
Absolutely.
That hurts. I've gone through that.
Yes,
So
and
I know
people
it.
ask you questions, and like you said, it's the assumptions. Well, what's wrong with her, or does she want a man? Like, what is the holdup? She's having all this fun, but has she really arrived? If she isn't married and has a child? Yeah. Now, fortunately, I didn't hear that from my family. I'm very, very blessed in that regard. It wasn't from my family or my close friends, but I think it's definitely a pressure that women get that men do not.
Absolutely. Well, coming up, the call Rochelle had been waiting for, the news that made her big life decision worth it, but also how her...
I'm gonna pause it right there for a second. Now, my apologies, I never did view this earlier on, but she was asked the question. And the answer that she came back with was you shouldn't have to ask, thank goodness nobody asked me the question. But the question needs to be asked. The question needs to be asked. Why indeed did you have to freeze your eggs? Why indeed did you have to wait till 50 to have a baby? Why indeed couldn't you be in a long-term relationship, in a marriage where you could have children? Why? Why did it take so long for you to have a child outside of wedlock? What? We have to do the background check here. We have to literally say what took her so long and why did it take her so long to get to this point. And there's some truth to this. I mean, they would never bring that up here. This is going to be, a very, very fluff piece. It's it's meant to be an endearing and moment of redemption and redefinition and hope. This is supposed to be an example that any woman at any age can have a child and can do it all by herself and not need to live on society's terms. But in fact, we need to dig deeper here. We need to ask ourselves why a woman of this stature, of this status, could not find a person to build a with whom to build a family. Be he black, be he white, be he whatever. And I think it stems down to two things. Number one, she wasn't cooperative submissive. Number two, she put herself right back into her career. And here we are. But the fact of the matter is, this is now becoming a trend, people. This is happening all over the modern world. This is something that wouldn't happen in patriarchal societies. Definitely not. Definitely not. But this is definitely a modern woman taking it upon herself to change the rules. The rules that have served us so well for centuries. Taking it upon herself to, adopt and have a child at 50. Not under the guise of a relationship, but on her own. But does it speak to the times, or does it speak to the woman? That's the question. I think it speaks. I think there's something in a bit of column A, a bit of column B in this instance. In that the times dictate that you can try to do it all by yourself, but really, are you doing it all by yourself if you're moving back home? And the woman, it speaks to the woman herself, is in that she could not be cooperative, agreeable, coachable enough to be in a relationship to have a child. And you start seeing this more often than not. Even though her biological clock rang so loudly that she had to go down this road. But did it have to be this way? I don't think so. I really don't. Never had to be this way.
Emily, that she just referred to, stepped in to help this dream of being a mom to Avery come true. A beautiful update after this.
Move a little quicker here.
Qatar, all around. And the first adoption didn't work out because the people wanted someone who was based there. And you were in the United States, or we're coming back to the United States. You quit your job.
I did.
For family.
I did. I am a very structured person. I need to know when my check is coming, et cetera, et cetera. It was a big deal for me to decide I am going to quit, not having anything lined up.
So you had nothing.
Wasn't even looking. I'm like, I'm just going home.
This is how you were going to go for it.
Yes. Wow. Yes. And I had made this decision right before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic happened, I'm like, yeah, it's just time to go home. So I did.
You were so worried. I'm telling you.
I was nervous. I was anxious.
Again! What did I say? They were going to make this a story of triumph. They were going to make this a story of, victory over the human condition. Call her so brave for her to do this. If this were a man who moved back home to have a child, he'd be considered a loser. Ladies. The double standard. He'd be considered a loser if a man had a child with a woman, dropped his job, came back home to raise that baby. What would you consider him? You consider him a loser. You consider him you consider him a waste of space. What's he doing moving back home, dropping a job to raise a child? You consider him crazy. But in this instance, she's sugar and spice and everything nice. She is a testament of the human condition. She is what we all can be. She's an example. She's a role model now. Because she stopped her career to have a child on her own, moved back home to her parents, her elderly parents, to have this child. Stunning. If there were a man who did this, guess what? We'd be tarred and feathered. No doubt about that. We'd be tarred, we'd be feathered, we'd be vilified, we'd be laughed at. So why can't women have the same? Because it's taboo to do that. You can't criticize a woman as such. Not these days. call her into question like that. Not these days. You can't have an inquiry as to her life choices and dating choices and her choices of being pregnant. Can't do that. That's shameful. You can't hold a woman to account. Because if the gender was the other way around, you wouldn't have a show for him. There wouldn't be a show for said gentleman. It wouldn't be broadcast to millions of men and women out there because he'd be considered a loser. But this one, she's considered a winner that she dropped her job and found her way home and had her family help her raise this baby that she decided to adopt. Really? Let's go.
But I felt like everything I had done in my life had gotten me to this point to be able to have choices and options. And I know everybody can't do that. I understand that. But I worked hard to get to that point, and I needed to lean in and do it.
You did. And then your family. Avery's with them.
She worked hard. Wait a minute. She worked hard to lose her job, move home. Now I found my mojo. Let's wait a minute. She worked hard to have the choice to drop her job, move back home with her parents, to raise an adopted child. Let that sink. Let me let this sink in again. She worked hard to get to a stage in life where she could drop everything, move back home to her parents. It's not as if she's moving into her own space. She's moving back home to her parents to have a child and have them help her raise this baby. You can't make this shit up. You literally can't. You cannot make this stuff up. You can't. You just can't. Imagine a man doing that. Imagine. Imagine the amount of hell he'd catch for making such a decision. Imagine the amount of... He'd be considered one of life's failures. He would be considered a joke for doing all these things. It's stunning. It's stunning. But here we are in 2022/2023, where we can allow for such a lady to sit down and let everybody know that it's okay that I couldn't find a man. It's okay I couldn't be cooperative and submissive, even though I'm fit, feminine, and friendly enough to be in a relationship. She couldn't find a relationship to have a baby in. As beautiful as she was. Something wrong with this picture, people. Something wrong with this picture. We'll let it ride.
Right now,
Yes.
they stepped in to help you at this point in your life that could have been, again, so disorienting because you've worked your whole life.
Yes, I agree. I was taking a risk, but to be honest, I was taking a risk with a supportive family.
Yeah.
And
What risk are you taking? You're moving back home. They're helping with your finances. They're helping you raise a baby. What risk? Where's the risk? I'm stunning. It staggers me to believe she's taking a risk. What risk? You have elderly parents who are helping you quit your job to raise a baby that's not even yours. Well, biologically. Adoption-wise, yes. Is there anything wrong with this picture? Imagine a man in this circumstance. Yeah. We know what would happen then. There'd be no TV shows for him, I'll tell you that. None. applauds this. Magnificent. Only in America. Only in America can a black woman quit her job, move back home, raise an adopted child, and get a round of applause doing it. Only in America. Unbelievable. Stunning. Stunning, 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 stunning. In most patriarchal countries, she'd be seen as a somewhat of an outcast, somewhat of a forgotten woman, as Kevin would say, if she made such a choice. But in America, she gets her own TV segment. She has her own studio audience who applauds her decisions. She'd have her choices be considered a risk. A risk. Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
I mean, we can have a fantasized view of family, but how do you define it now? Or at least, how do you explain this huge risk that you took for family?
That it was absolutely.
Where's the risk? What's the risk? Moving back home isn't a risk. Moving back home is a safety net. Moving back home is a fallback measure. Moving back home shields you from the rigors of life in making such a decision. To be fair and frank, where's the risk? Where's the risk? I keep hearing risk. Where's the risk? She's quit her job. She's moving back home with her family there, a mother and a father, to help raise this adopted child. This blessing. Don't blame the child. Why is this woman being held on shoulders? Why is she being heralded? Why is she carried on a donkey with palms at her feet? I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It speaks to the woman's choices in life. She chose not to be cooperative. She chose not to be submissive. She chose to have a baby on her own when she could have had it in a loving family, in a married milieu. Gotta look that one up. I have to pull that one up. She could have had it, but she decided no. Her career came first. The money came first. But no man came first. And that speaks to the modern women these days. Their men don't come first. They come first. Their babies come first. Their biological clock comes first. Even though she couldn't use hers. She had timed it out. She had frozen her eggs, but that option was rendered useless. So she decided, you know what? Let me go adopt rather than be cooperative and submissive to a man and try it that way. It's worked for 1,000 years. You know, maybe it won't work this time. What? It's stunning. It really is stunning, people. It really is stunning. I'll let this play out, and then we're gonna get the male, because I wanted the female point of view. I wanted to be a fair and balanced show tonight, but this is how women as such are celebrated. People, they're celebrated for making such a decision. If a man makes this decision, he'd be considered off his rocker. Let's continue. Let's finish this up.
Really worth it. That the timing is absolutely perfect. I am the poster child for late bloomers. All right, what's the rush? There.
Yeah, the kid with his kid.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Did you hear that? She just slipped that in. She says she's a poster child for late bloomers. This is what you need. If you can't find a man, if you can't be cooperative and submissive, this is what you should do, people. Move home, give up your job, adopt a child, and start. She's basically regressing to her teenage years. Because that's what teenagers would do. Teenagers would do exactly that. They give up their job or give up school, they move back home and have the child and start. Except this woman's 50. 50. She's 50 years old doing this. Yet she celebrated. Stunning.
People were like, you're supposed to let him smash the cake. Okay. And he went for it. But family is what you make it when you make it, not on anybody else's timeline. Not on any.
This is a beautiful family. Give your family my best.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. But we got to get a play date.
I know.
We're going to get Avery and Moses together. Thank you, Rochelle. I'm so proud of you.
Run that back again. I just want to just run that back just one more time.
Not on anybody else's timeline. Not on any.
This is
Oh, okay. Wait a second. This is the modern woman's playbook here. Let's play it.
fantasized view of family, but how do you define it now? Or at least how do you explain
Let's hear it one more time.
that you took for family?
That it was absolutely worth it. That the timing is absolutely perfect. I am the poster child for late bloomers. All right. What's the rush? There.
Yeah, the kid with his kid.
Oh my goodness, yeah. People were like,
What's the rush? The rush is your biological clock. The rush is your ovaries. The rush is your egg. That's the rush. A rush to a point where you had to adopt. You couldn't even have this naturally. You couldn't do this on your own. You needed help. You needed help then, you needed help now. But as modern women are apt to do, they'll flip it around and create their own rules and say, hey, it's on your own timeline. And no other let's face facts. No other race of women would put out such a narrative like black women would. I have to call them out now. I have to say it. Only black women would say something like that. You wouldn't have a white woman outside of them being celebrities. Well, she's a mini celebrity, I guess, but average white woman wouldn't be saying such a thing. They wouldn't be. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't, because they wouldn't be caught out like that. They wouldn't. You get the odd one or two, but by the rule, they wouldn't be caught out like that. Black woman now, sure, why not?
you're supposed to let him smash the cake. Okay. And he went for it. But family is what you make it when you make it, not on anybody else's timeline. Not on.
Family is. Let me read that one more time, because that is such a wonderful quote. Let's get that back. Let's go.
And that you make it, not on anybody else's timeline. Not on any.
This is a beautiful family. Give your family my best.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. But we got to get a play date. We're going to get Avery and Moses together. Thank you, Rochelle. I'm so proud of you.
Unbelievable. I just wanted to get that highlight again. It just ran away from me for a moment, but I just wanted to get that back again.
Anybody else's timeline. What you make it when you make it, not on anybody else's timeline. Family is what you make it when you make it, not on anybody else's timeline. Not on any.
Put that on a card. Family is what you make it when you make it. Not on anybody else's timeline. That is straight from the Modern Woman Playbook. I'll make a family on my time. Even though I have to quit my job and move back home and adopt, but I'll make it on my own timeline. I wouldn't self-reflect and realize where I literally went wrong in terms of my dating choices and my list being so long and having it for such a lengthy period of time. But I'll make the family on my timeline, even though it inconveniences my elderly parents. If she did this on her own, all well and good. Seriously, all well and good. If she did this by herself and decided, you know what, I'm going to take this on my own, adopt, still have my career, still do daycare and do all these things, all well and good. But she couldn't. No, she couldn't do this on her own. She could not do this on her own. She needed help. She had to go home, quit her job, then start out and have her elderly parents, because her parents, she's 50, they're in their 70s, maybe mid 70s, doing this. Again, if this were a man doing this, guess what would happen to him? Yes, he'd be considered a loser. He wouldn't be a role model. He couldn't have a family like this on his timeline. People. Couldn't do it. But yet, we have...
This is a beautiful family. Give your family my best. Congratulations. Then we got to get a play date. We're going to get Avery and Moses together. Thank you, Rochelle. I'm so proud of you.
Rochelle is heralded. They want play dates. We have to go on play dates. We have to celebrate this moment. Celebrate the fact that you could not be submissive and cooperative enough to find a man on your own, to build a family on your own. You need your parents' help to get this done. Quit your job to get this done. No, but she's a hero, right? She's a hero. But we've had the female perspective because, again, I am not one to not hear both sides. So we had to have the female perspective. We did. Now we know she's a hero to Tamron Hall and to all the ladies out there who are in their 40s and 50s who aren't cooperative and submissive enough, because she's certainly fit, feminine, and friendly, but not cooperative and submissive enough to have a family on their own. She couldn't live with a man. She can live with a baby, but can't live with a man. Think about that. But we move forward, people, because I want both sides. And so we're going to get to the second side of this equation. We have our friend here, Chissa Zed, a very, very well-known YouTuber on in the Black Manosphere space. Thank you very much. I'd like for you to either like and subscribe and comment. Like and subscribe to this gentleman because he gives great content. And he had his take on this idea himself. And later on, we're going to have another example of this. But again, that's the more extreme case. That is where, you would assume that this lady in question would go that route to have a baby. You would automatically assume that. And once you hear her name in pops, oh yeah, she can only have it on her own, because there's no way she could be cooperative and submissive enough to do it. But you have these, you have like Rochelle. You have ladies like, again, Rochelle Carey. Gotta write that name down, but I'll remember it. Rochelle Carey doing it for herself, right? Because sisters are doing it for themselves. I think Aretha Franklin had a song like that back in the day. No truer word said, I tell you that. No truer word said. But we're going to move on to, this, with Chisa Zed's take on this occurrence, on this fact of life, this modern woman fact of life. We're going to move on to that. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Like and subscribe and comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell a friend we're back again. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Fall winter line out. Now, let's move on to Mr. Zed's commentary.
The coffee pot, my name is Trisha Zed. 51-year-old woman realizes that she was not happy with her successful career, boss babe lifestyle, and wanted a kid, right? And decided to do this. No more wasting time. Let's get it.
I am a 51-year-old single mom who lives at home with my parents, and I'm the happiest I have ever been.
What? Come on, you don't want to go to bed?
It wasn't always
Sorry about that, guys. Love you, man.
this way, so stick with me here. After graduating from college, I moved a lot, and often far from home. I spent most of my adult life working as a broadcast journalist. I had a dream career. I worked at CNN's Headline News for 7 years. I've interviewed phenomenal women like Janet Jackson and Misty Copeland. I've lived in New York, Doha, Qatar, and traveled.
She did live in Canada, but notice who she noticed. There's another role model to whom she, basically gives credit to, and that's Janet Jackson. Because Janet Jackson, as talented and as lovely as she is, pretty much went down a similar path. She had a baby with a prince, I think a prince of Oman, prince in the Middle East. Came back, had her baby, and now it's raising him or her on her own. So she decided to take that idea and move forward with it. But that's just a sidebar. Let's continue with it.
To fabulous cities around the world. From the outside looking in, my life probably looked pretty amazing, and sometimes it was. Reality is more complex. I was often alone, expecting to meet a great guy and start a family. When that didn't happen, I decided at age 43 it was time to freeze my eggs.
Let's not skip over that comment right there. So, 51 years, and she could not, no man was good enough for this woman. Let's keep watching.
Then at 46, it was time for IVF, using those eggs and sperm from a sperm bank. You think Bumble is stressful? Try picking sperm. When IVF didn't work, I decided it was time to adopt. I kept telling myself the right baby would find me, but eventually realized leaving Doha could improve my odds of being matched with a baby.
She tried all these different things women do as they reach the end of their fertility, IVF. I hope I said that right. Freezing her eggs, etc. Not always successful. A lot of people don't know that. It's actually very difficult. A lot of women don't realize this until they're at this point.
And that is exactly what happened.
She had failed as a woman to find her a man, even though she's as beautiful as she was. The fact of the matter is, her list for an eligible gentleman was long and tedious, and she couldn't humble herself with an ordinary guy. So she decided to go it alone. She thought that she was. Let's not mince words here. She thought that she could find the 6-pack, 6-figure, 6 feet tall, 6 inches or more, kind, wonderful gentleman who's rich, the 10% male. She thought she could be one of those eligible types. And at the end of the day, it took her 51 years to do it, and she couldn't do it. She failed. She failed to do it. She failed to find that man. Failed. Because women, you have to understand. Men are very familiar with the word failure. You remind us in your dating choices who the victors are and the losers are, but you'll never call yourselves into account. This is what you call failure in most men's eyes. She failed to find, as beautiful as she was, as fit as she was, and as friendly as she can be, a man suitable with whom to have a child. Because she had this lengthy list, many criteria on that list I've already spoken to you about. Continue.
Within 8 months of leaving my dream job and moving home to my parents' studio apartment above the garage in Houston with no job lined up, I met my beautiful baby boy, Avery. The journey is not how I planned it, but I wouldn't change a thing.
All right, so there you guys go. We have a woman here who spent her life prioritizing her career and realized that that's not what she truly wanted to. And while women today will say these are their own thoughts, they don't realize that in most cases they're conditioned, encouraged, programmed to think this way by the media, right? Social media included, in this gynocentric society.
Oh.
But these are the stories that a lot of younger women could truly benefit from, because for her to quit her job and pursue her dreams, move in with her parents, I mean, that's drastic, right? She was desperate. And she says she wouldn't change a thing. Okay, let's say that is true. I wonder if she would encourage other women, or most women, to live their life the way she has, which she's now officially a single mother.
There it is. Ladies, do you aspire to be a single mother? Do you aspire to move back home like a teenager, have a child, and have your parents help you raise them? Is that what you aspire to? Is that the pinnacle of modern womanhood? I'm asking. Comment below. Let me know. Oh, boy. Unbelievable. But back on YouTube here. We're going to continue this because it seemed to have dropped out here on Instagram. We're just getting back live on Instagram. But yeah, just let me know. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. We are back. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But here's the thing. Is that, as I was saying to you, and as I was saying to, I'm still saying to my YouTube audience, and I'm saying to you, is that what you ladies aspire to? And do you want to be single mothers? Single mothers moving back home, having your parents help you raise your children. Because that's nothing to aspire to, really. Because if that were a man's a way to success, we would have checked them ourselves. Men would have checked that man ourselves to say, man, that's not the way to do it. We'd be man enough to say it. We wouldn't have talk shows putting these ladies on pedestals and considering them role models for making such choices. Men wouldn't do it. We would check that man to say, hey, why the hell are you having a baby, quitting your job, moving back home to raise that child and have your parents help you do it? Do you hear? Are you getting this? Are you getting this, ladies? Do you hear the hypocrisy of this whole thing? But yet, a woman with a career who couldn't find a man, by hook or by crook, decided this was my dream. And women in their echo chambers sung her name to the rafters, saying, yes, you are a modern woman. This is who we need in our society. single mothers in their 50s adopting children outside of the institution of marriage or a relationship. Wow. Is that how things are going these days, ladies? Let me know. That's how things are going? Is that the way things are going? Or is that where you wish to aspire? Is that the goal you have? Carry your career so far as to forget how to be married or to live with a man so that he can protect and provide for your children as they have been doing for centuries? Well, seriously, this is the new norm? Continue, please. Oh, God.
Guys, I was going to check out a few of these comments, see what the people have to say. First comment here says, chasing the bag does not bring happiness. That is facts. This woman drinks a little bit of coffee.
I love everything about coffee. It is one of my favorite things in life.
Another commenter here says, I work in private adoption and this is becoming a more common reality. Family is family. Wow. Wow.
That's the new rule. There it is. Family is family. As the lady said, as she already said, families should be done on your timeline. What? A family is who you want in it and should be done according to your timeline. With a man or not. With a protector provider or not. In your own abode or not. Is this the new normal, ladies? Do let us know. You gotta let us men know. But you know what? To be fair, I'm finding this a lot within the African diaspora these days, especially modern ones in the developed world, in the United States, in Canada, in Britain. You're starting to find this more and more and more. Women just saying, you know what? I've never had a background with a man. I never could live with a man. I couldn't be cooperative and submissive to find a man. So therefore, I'm going to move back home and have kids and have my elderly parents raise them. What? What kind of bizarro land goal is that? Because again, if a man were doing this, you know what you ladies be calling that man. I'm just saying.
This is crazy. And so, more women who prioritize their careers, according to this woman who works in private adoption, she says, are coming searching to adopt kids because they can no longer have kids. They've hit that wall far and gone. They're unable to have children. They're probably not married. And it's becoming more and more common. And I think it's just going to become even more and more common. You cannot replace family. You cannot replace the people in your life. Another comment here.
Something just came to me. Just came to me. Just right now. Women, are you prioritizing career over family? Are you doing that? Because the most men these days, the 1 out of 3 gentlemen who haven't had sex in a year are considered virgins. This is exactly the case. You're putting career over family. You're putting your lengthy list, over a child, your own child, in the proper timeline, before you're 35 and at risk, and having at-risk pregnancy. Sorry. You're doing this. You're literally doing this. You're taking it upon yourself to do this. It's your choice. But you know what a lot of men would say to that choice? They think you're a few sandwiches short of a picnic. Even though we have to accept it because Lord knows we can't say anything untowards to women. Especially modern women. Oh. No, 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 no. Don't put. Please don't ask them to prioritize family over career. Please don't prioritize children over being a wife and being a mother and doing it however, whatever means necessary in order to get it done. Even if you have to freeze your eggs, even if you have to adopt, even if you have to move home and have your elderly parents raise them. Raise your kids. No. Please. We shouldn't be too critical of women. Please, let's not do that. Let's not go there. Let's not do that. Let insanity reign. Let the lunatics run the asylum. Let the cart come before the horse. As the horse was on its path ever so well for the last 5,000 plus years. Anyway.
Says, I adopted 5 siblings from foster care. You're growing fast. Adopting is the way to go. I hope you have a husband. I hope you have a man. Because those children who are growing up in a single mother household are at a disadvantage. Fathers are important. In fact, studies show that a single father household raises up kids who are as less likely to go to prison than they would be if they were raised up in a 2-parent household. Another comment here says, sounds...
I said that on Talk. Sorry, I don't want to swear. I said that on Talk Live on the last show. Go back and look at it. Go back and look at it. The last comment, the woman had adopted 5 children. 5 through foster care. And he said, literally, I hope you have a man around. Because if you don't have a man around, we had talked about the dangers of fatherless homes. Go back and check the last show. How they're prone to violence, how they're prone to mental illness, how they're prone to prison, how they're prone to teenage pregnancy, how they're prone to not have the wherewithal to have success in school. And that the best start comes from a 2-parent home. Specifically heterosexual. Not to exclude the pink alternative. The LGBTQS 2S society we have. Not going to eliminate you. Not doing it. Not going to do it. But let it be said, if there's any male or female kids contrary to those alternative relationships, I'll leave it there. I don't want any trouble. If I speak, I'd be in big trouble. Continue. Quoting my man Jose Mourinho. Go ahead.
It's like me. Very encouraging. Says she needed that. I'm 40, divorced, probably initiated a divorce yourself. No kids. I have a great career. This may be my path. Not every family looks the same. Thank you for sharing. Another chick who says she waited too long. Seemed like she prioritized her career over having a family. Unfortunately, women have limited time to start a family. I hope everything works out for her and her son. Blessings. I wish the best for her son. Truly do. Another comment here from another woman says, my best...
As I said, women will hold these other women who have made such decisions as heroes, as sheroes, as you say. As sheroes. For taking such drastic means to have a child. Even if you are single. Because sooner or later, that child will get older. Those parents may not be there. And she'll have to raise them on her own as a single mother. And we've told you about the dangers of fatherless homes. But yet, we're supposed to give her our blessing. Go watch the last show I had on fatherless homes. Please. I beg of you. I beg, beg, beg of you. She's lucky that she's gone back to a home in which Ms. Carey has gone back to a home in which there is a male representative in the household. Because then you're dealing with a vacuum. Then you have to find role models. You have to scramble to find them. Well, you could have been cooperative and agreeable and submissive and had a husband there who could have protected and provided. Instead of living your own truth and living your best life and doing things on your own and having the stocks on wine and cat food and dog food and all such things involving single female hood and their stocks rising. Right?
Girlfriend sent me your post after seeing parallels in our stories, and I'm so glad she did. I'm a corp exec turning 50 next year and feel like I've missed the opportunity to have a family. Your story gives hope. I'm inspired. Not really sure where to begin with adoption journey, but love where it has the potential to end. Thank you for sharing. 132 likes. Next, another gentleman here says Kevin Samuels called it RIP. Yes. Can we all acknowledge a man did his best, gave his last years to women? And listen, this is why, again, it is tough for me to sympathize when I know reduce 15, 20 years from these chicks, they aren't listening to shit that you have to say. In fact, I'll tell you this probably right now, the women out here who are struggling, they would still argue. We know this. Another woman responded back to that guy and says he was on point with this. Chasing the bag, independent black woman is crap. Only to end up older, alone, single, mom with no covering, no man to help raise your child. To me, this is selfish. She will be in her late 60s trying to keep up with a teenager. Yeah, that's terrible. And then the emotional trauma of you dying early and going through health complications. I'm not making this up. I literally saw a TikTok of a chick saying, when your parents had you older, no one ever talks about watching them die earlier. She was in her 20s and she was already experiencing her parents like in nursing homes, which is what's going to be the case in this situation. Guys, as always, I'm curious to know what you think.
Great response. A lot to dissect there, but a great response. Now that's the man's response, ladies. And again, R.I.P. to the Godfather, who only wanted to bring us together, but yet so many ladies dance on his grave and are happy that he's gone. But he warned us of this. He warned us all that women will take it upon themselves to create their own families that fall well outside the norm. And societies will decline as a result. They'll decline. Ladies, and I'm talking to my millennials here because, again, to the Gen X, you are this lady. You are this woman, Ms. Carey, Rochelle Carey. And your time, for lack of a better word, is up. No matter how you feel about it, it is. You've made your choices. You've made your bed. Now you must lie in it. It's whom you lie with it that matters now. You lie with it. You may lie with it with a child that you adopt because you let your biological clock tick away until it was too late. You froze your eggs, so now you had to adopt a child and move back home to raise that child. But no, you're a hero. You are a shero. You are a shero, even though you've been given the best of education within that household in which your parents were married to find a man. Even if the best, listen, let's face facts here. You know, even the best, even students going to the best of establishments drop out. They drop out. She dropped out. She dropped out of being a high-value woman. She dropped out. She dropped out. To put it bluntly. To put it in the words of the Godfather himself, R.I.P. She dropped out. She was fit. She was friendly. She was feminine. Oh, yes. But could she be cooperative and submissive? Most career women can be. It's been proven time in, time out. But so much in our community cannot. They can't. And it's a shame. And even if they can educate themselves to be high-value women, they won't. They'll choose not to. They'll choose to go it alone. Because they cannot find themselves to be agreeable, to be cooperative, to be submissive enough to find a man. They won't. They won't do it. It goes against their code of ethics. When for thousands of years, seemed to work out right for some. To us, before the 1960s, we were married at an 80% rate. But that's gone. Because you have women who can do bad all by themselves, right? Again, if the tables were turned, ladies, if you were a man doing this, what would you consider him? Ask yourself that question. Comment below and tell me what you consider that man to be. If he made those sort of choices, what would that man be? But we're going to move on. Thank you very much for Mr. Zed for his commentary on this, and he hits the nail right on the head. So many people, so many women have missed the boat and yet find new ways to drop the ball. But we're going to find out, we're going to go to our final lady here, our final example. Yes, there she is. Madam Campbell. Madam Naomi Campbell. Look at her. A supermodel. One of the original supermodels. Oh, highly successful supermodel. During the 80s and 90s, she was one of the more celebrated faces in the world. London girl. But she had a bit of a personality disorder / temper / disagreeability that was legendary. As beautiful as she was. And as many white men as she dated, because, well, she dated some black guys. She dated some ushers. She dated many men. Many men. Shout out to my man 50 Cent. But she couldn't find one. Now, in this case, this isn't like Rochelle Carey, because Rochelle Carey came from a two-parent household. She had the best of upbringings. She had a fantastic career, and she made her choices. Naomi Campbell is carrying on tradition. Naomi Campbell came from a mother who was a single mother herself. Go ahead, look it up. Her mother was a single mother and raised her on her own. Now again, that has to be dug in a bit deeper as to why she was raised on her own. But again, it did, I think, enter into the reason for her personality and her personality disorders. Really, I think she was diagnosed with some personality disorder. But again, I could be wrong, so I'll leave it at that. But she's one of those strong, confident, independent, don't need no man ladies that could not find one as fit and as feminine as she was. Because she's beautiful. She's an 8, 9, 10. Let's face facts. She is one of those ladies that men will never stop flocking around. Never, ever, 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 ever. This girl's looks are timeless. Even into her 50s, this woman's looks are timeless. But there's something going on inside that made her move from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship. And she never really dealt with it through therapy. But she's heralded as a heroine. She's heralded as a hero. And in her 50s, herself decided to have a baby. Yes. Another sperm bank donor. She decided to have a baby. We're going to get into that right now. Now, these are one of those examples of, strong, independent, I don't need no man women who came from a tradition of single motherhood to come to the point where she is now. She never learned how to live with a man, and she never would learn. She never would learn. But she had the beauty enough that men would keep coming around her. But again, no man would want to have a child with her. Why? Would you want to have a child with Naomi Campbell? There she is. No man would want to have a child with Naomi. Why? Let's find out. Let's find out what happened here. We're going to an episode of O'Shea Duke Jackson. Let's move it a little further here, and we're gonna start this right now.
Sellout. She's very, very beautiful still, even to this day. She's still a sellout. She's what I would call the C word that ends in N. But you know what? She's beautiful. She's a rap.
Well, my man O'Shea never minces words. Yeah, she's a C word that ends with N. She's sellout. But here's the thing: it's London, and it's a different culture out there. So hold fire. Continue.
Rags to riches story. Worked very hard to get to where she said she's from London. I believe she's like Jamaican, British. Moved to the United States for some time. One of the best role models. In fact, still today, she commands the runway like no other. But Naomi Campbell has said some egregious things about African Americans and Black History Month, and it should be canceled and things like that. And when people who are not our people, and what I mean that she is in a way our people, but then she's not. She understands our culture, and her people have suffered, just like ours has, and Jamaicans and African Americans are closely related. But when she says things like that, I don't understand it. But then when I look at the fact that she just had a child, and I look at the child's complexion, I know that this baby has a white father, okay? That's one thing that I want to talk about, because typically people who have egregious things, atrocious things to say about the Black community, be it in Britain or in the United States, I understand where you're at. Now, she has dated Black men before, but we all know that Naomi Campbell likes white men. Many times older white men. But not only...
Yes, Naomi has had a checkered past. A very checkered past with us. And she has denigrated us, and she has called us out by our names. And she doesn't exactly like black men. She doesn't really. She'll date you if you have a lot of money, but other than that, no, she doesn't really like her own kind. She's had a built-in hate for. I wouldn't say hate, a dislike for black men for some reason. Now, again, that could have been through that could have been through parentage. and her mother, giving her, nasty advice and nasty ideas about black men, because again, she was a single mother herself, and then it fostered herself within her to the point where she hated black men herself. She had a self-hatred for her own kind, which is ugly, but it happens. But hey, put that aside. She dated black men before, but they had to be rich and such, and of course they had to be older white gentlemen. But yet she could not have a child with any of them. Why? There's a common denominator here, people. As beautiful and as fit and as feminine as she was, she missed a few things. Her friendliness, we know the reputation of Ms. Campbell. We know her reputation. Not exactly stellar. Let's say that. And was she cooperative and agreeable and submissive? Oh no. No. That wouldn't have happened. Definitely not. So she had a baby, and again, through a white dude. Who's to say who's knowledgeable of that? But again, that's beside the point. But again, we have to get to the bigger picture, so let's get to it.
Not only that, her mother was also a single mother, from what I understand. She came from a family, if I'm not mistaken, of that. The father, I don't believe, was there. All right, and it makes me to try to look at this. Okay, now this is she never understood how to be a wife, nor did she care about that. All right, because the mom was abandoned when she was 4 months pregnant. All right, she attended, she lived in South London. So now she's a 51-year-old single mother, and she had this child. Listen to this now, without anybody knowing, at 50. The baby's 9 months old. So I don't need a man. Number one, I disparage my race of people. Number two. Third thing is, who do you expect this child to become? Now, it's interesting. We talk about the actress Standy, that lady.
We'll skip by this here for a second.
She was sad about which end of woman or man. Black men get accused of that. But when these black women go out here and do it, like Tandy Newton does it, you guys don't have any smoke for that. When Naomi Campbell talks about the black community in a disparaging way, you're quiet about it. When all she dates is, at least the long-term relationships, white men. When she goes out and have a mulatto baby, you guys don't talk about that. She's not creating to the colorism, right? But I thought it was just black men that like white women, right? Is that what it is? And then she's never interested in getting married. I wonder why. Look at her family. A lineage of single parents. So these women, they go out there and they achieve all of this money and the wealth, and then what happens to their kids? Their kids do the same thing. You are nothing without a community. You are nothing without a family. Nothing.
Let's stop it right there. That is the point of this. I mean, the whole racism thing. I mean, that's there for all to see. There's no doubt about that. There's no hiding that. There's no hiding place for that. What the problem is with Ms. Campbell, she had a chance to break tradition, but she didn't want to. Be it with a black guy, be it with a white guy, be it with a Martian, be it with anyone. She didn't want to break tradition. Now it's ingrained within her family that you will have child without man and be disagreeable, be uncooperative, be submissive, and carry that forward through society. Not having a family, not having a family that would be considered, well, the best choice in terms of giving a child the best start in life. Now let's face facts here. Naomi has money, so she can hide a few of these things. But again, in terms of mental issues, in terms of personality disorders, in terms of doing well in school and such. There are a few issues that will come to the fore later in life that we don't know now, but they will come up. Especially as her kid hits teenage years and she's in her 70s. 70s. Raising a child on her own, like her mother did. Carrying on tradition. Isn't that great? But this is supposed to be the new normal. This is what we should be holding aloft to the rafters. This is the new normal. And again, you ladies wanted it, right? You wanted that freedom, right? But you don't see the consequences because, again, you got to live your truth, you got to live your life, you got to live your best life. You don't see the repercussions of these type of ideals until later in life. Until you have to deal with kids who are disorderly. Until you have to deal with kids who may deem sexual ideas in a very perverted and abnormal way. Till you have to deal with kids who may get into trouble at school. Till you have kids who may not do so well in school. Till you have kids that are downright nasty. Now again, this doesn't have to be, but these are the tendencies. I have to point them out. Let's continue.
I had to learn that the hard way. And I'll tell you who taught it to me the most? Africa. Okay? Africa. See, here, I found out how important it is to have help, to have a community around you. Because I remember that's how it was when I was coming up as a kid. The last years of the great big mama, see, I had a Medea. Mary Frances Willis. She left us in 2002. Born in Pritchard, Alabama, outside of Mobile. She's my godmother. I love her to death. Last time I talked to her was 20 years ago, because she passed. Okay? She wanted me to be somebody in life, wanted me to be a doctor, wanted me to be a professional, because she couldn't go to school. She was just as important in my life as my mother and my grandmother. Up there. Okay? And in those days, black people used to speak to each other. You could leave your doors unlocked. We all went to church together. See, I came from that old school of the community. Of you were supposed to be somebody. Now it's everybody out for themselves.
Well said, O'Shea. Well said. See, what you ladies don't realize, and thank goodness he found that out himself, is the fact that family's important. A full family, not your own family, not your family on your own terms, not the family that you make on your own timeline. A proper family. Now again, I'm talking about a family in which there are two loving parents. Now again, whatever your persuasion is, I get it, so I'm not going to comment on it. But one in which there are two parents, and being single and a woman without the financial wherewithal to achieve such a level of life, it's like Russian roulette. Every day you wake up. You roll the dice and see what comes up. And again, he's speaking of patriarchal societies here. In Africa. A patriarchal society for the most part, in which a mother and father take care of their kids more often than not. We seem to have got away from that here in the developed world, in the Western world, in the modern female gynocratic world. Got away from it. Because women think that they can create balance and the same type of family at a whim. You can't. You just can't. In a structured, disciplined family home, as it is in many other races, that's how they succeed. That's how you see the Chinese and you see the Indians get ahead in life. Because they came from structure. They came from family. They came from a top-down hierarchy. Where the man was the head of the family who led. Then their wife and their children. That's why they're getting ahead in life, ladies, in general. They are. It's because of family. And for you ladies to think at 51 that you can create your own family, your own timeline, in some sort of alternative universe that you create by yourself, it stuns me. It truly stuns me. And as I said on my last show, all the perils of said choices are there to behold. But you want to roll the dice because you're a superwoman, right? Remember we saying that back in 1990? Actually, she was alternative. She said that she was not a superwoman, right? She's saying the fact that I forget the artist. What's the artist there, Superwoman? Let's just hold on. I know Alicia Keys sang a remake of that, and again, speaking to the modern woman narrative, but there is one Superwoman 1990. I'm just on Talk Live here. Thank you for joining me. Like, subscribe, comment. 1990 song. Karen White, 1988. A woman who showed her vulnerability, who realized that she needed a man in her life to make it complete. Not the Alicia Keys version, in which she can climb skyscrapers, move mountains, build cities, that sort of thing. No. The Karen White song is what I'm speaking of. Where she literally told her man she wasn't that strong and she needed his help to help complete not only herself but her future family. What happened to that woman? What happened to that woman? I think there are still some out there, but they're unfortunately, due to the social media generation, they're being vilified, they're being laughed at, they're being considered nonsensical for having to be cooperative and submissive to your man, to being agreeable with your man, to help raise a family together, to work in tandem to make sure the next generation is safe, secure, generationally wealthy, and ready to take on the challenges of the future. Every other race does it. Why can't ours? Could it be that women's standards, modern women's standards, are too high, especially modern black women's standards in the developed world, standards are too high, and they've left themselves to their 50s to decide, hey, I'll have to do it on my own. Because I couldn't humble myself to be exalted. There's a passage in the Bible for that. There's a passage in the Bible for that. Yes, there it is. Philippians 2:3. In humility, value others amongst yourselves. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and for those who humble themselves will be exalted. That's what mothers are. They're humble and yet they're exalted. They're considered the heartbeats of a family. Those are what mothers are. Mothers within a marriage. That's what mothers are. I mean, there are mothers, do it on their own, like Naomi, like Miss Carrie. Are they to be exalted? Clearly they are in this instance. I mean, look, Tamron Hall had her on her show. And Naomi Campbell's considered a heroine of many types. But that's the new normal, right? That is the new normal. But I'll let him finish up, and then we're gonna sum up tonight's show.
There's no such a thing as family anymore, or looking out for people. That don't happen anymore. And then when you grow up your kids in societies like that, they don't have any opportunities. No father there. What would my life be like without a strong man in my life? See, Naomi Campbell don't even care about that. I can guarantee you that she ain't even releasing the kid's father. Maybe they have, I doubt it. Oh, I didn't need a father, so my kid don't need to have a father. See, this is selfishness. That's what it is. Okay? But see, these kids are missing a strong father figure, white or black, in their life. Because you have these people who believe they can do it better by themselves, and you have these people who are creating the new mulatto race, who want to have their toes in the black community on one issue, and then on other issues talk bad about it. What are these people going to become without their fathers? My father made a lot of mistakes. He made some damn good points too, though. He's excellent at many things. Had a grandfather in my life. Was excellent at many things. They gave me enough tools to go to the next generation so that my son won't have to experience these things. You see that? But you don't see that anymore. Okay? You don't see that anymore. And I'm curious to know that when why do you want to have an infant daughter at 51? You want to be a mother. Where's the father? It's all about being selfish, and these kids suffer behind it because because women want to have kids and don't want to be in the family. Nobody suffers but the kids. The elites who rule over us, they believe in one thing that the others don't. Families. How many single?
Finish that up.
Mother homes or become elites. Single father homes become elite. You don't have it. You gotta have order. Without family, you don't have anything. And we're the only group of people, black in the world, whether it's in the UK or in America or it's westernized blacks in Canada, we've gotten away from that. And from those roots in Africa, that communal setting, that family setting, we got to get back to that if we want to have a chance. We lost that in the 80s in our community. In the 60s, 70s, arguably. We don't have it anymore. We lost it with Big Mama. But guys, what do you think?
Beautiful. That's how you sum it up. Yeah. Yeah. Where in these families are the fathers and the grandfathers to impart wisdom, to impart structure, to impart discipline, to impart foundation? Where in these families where these single women have decided to take it upon themselves to make their own construction of marriage? Where are parts of that bedrock in terms of the men? Where are they? Where are they? I ask you, where are they? That's what we have to get down to. We got to get down to the fact that we're losing that, especially among the African diaspora in the modern world, especially not so much in Africa, because I think Africa still has those foundations, But if you're going to the West Indies, if you're going to the Caribbean, if you're going to if you're going to Canada, the United States, Europe, those standards are dropping. Those close-knit families are ending. Because you want a family on your timeline. Are you getting it now? Because you have a family on your timeline, this sort of structure that has built our communities from time immemorial are disintegrating before our eyes. That's why I say I will never have a child in which I am not in it. I am not in that home. I am not with my wife. I'll never have it. My pull-out game is that strong. I will never have it. Because I want to impart my wisdom. I want to impart my structure. I want to impart my discipline. I want to impart my knowledge. I want to impart my family name on that child. And that's something you have to realize, ladies. It's not about you. It's about the family. It's not about you. It's about humbling yourself to be exalted. Philippians 2:3. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner we'll get to a better place. But when you start doing things for yourself, doing things for your selfish ends, that's where problems lie. And it doesn't maybe show up on you, but it'll show up on the children. Guaranteed. And those kids will show your deficiencies. Whether you like it or not. So, I ask you ladies to please consider your options. Be the type of lady who can be cooperative and submissive and help raise not only yourselves, not only your families, but also your communities. Because the deficiencies will show. And once those deficiencies will show, believe me, you may like what you find. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. I'm going to end it there for about an hour and 43. Thank you for the interaction. Again, we're going to have another show on Saturday night. I have a new feature that I may want to debut on Saturday night. And again, I will reveal it then through some publicity that is coming forward. Again, more changes to the set, more changes to the system are happening now, and we will go forward with that going forward. Camera changes, as you can hear, the sound is that much better. We're having new. The sound system is much more advanced. Soon the camera will come. Soon a few changes to the set will come as well. I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the changes. But again, I thank you for joining me on Talk Live on this show of 51 and pregnant. 51 and pregnant. Oh God. Anyway, and the perils of said decisions. Thank you for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Fall winter line out now. Thank you very much for your patronage. We'll be back Saturday night. Because Sunday's, Sunday's a bit of a rest day for me. And plus the NFL playoffs are on. I want to watch that and have other things to do. So we're going to try and get something done on Saturday. And then we're going to make it on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday sort of schedule. So that's going to be the new normal here. But yeah, thank you for and not only that, thank you for the recognition I'm getting in the street. I'm starting to hear a lot of people starting to pull up and say, they watch the show, they like the show, and if you have any comments and any sort of improvements you want to make to that show, please do. And if you have any debates that you wish to debate with me, I'm well and open to it. I'm well and open to it, as long as it's friendly, as long as it's in good kind, and again, as long as we can debate the facts that much more clearly, because that's what it's all about. It's each one teach one to get to ourselves, to a better path, to a better future, to a better tomorrow, one in which we all can profit from each other's experiences and make this world a better place. So thank you for joining me on Talk Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We'll be back Saturday night with a new topic. I'm thinking of a new sort of concept that is going to come up on Saturday nights, and after a long week, and a new feature, and I'm looking forward to hearing that. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you to Dun Talk for the gear, and we're out of here. So I will see you soon. Thank you, and thank you for your patience. I will speak to you soon. And if you talk the talk, walk the walk, especially to my 51-year-old ladies. Good Lord. Good night. And to my YouTube group, thank you very much for joining me on Talk Talk Live. We'll end the stream here. Again, we're going to be uploading the last few Instagram shows onto YouTube in a bit. And again, there are shorts coming. I've been holding out on shorts, but shorts are coming. So look forward to that. And we're going to be putting it out here. We're going to be putting it on Instagram and on YouTube, TikTok as well. And yeah, it should be enjoyable. So I got to get onto that. I have to get onto streaming that out there. So again, and getting onto the captions, which will make up things. I've already got money in the bank. I need to make that happen. So rest assured, I'll get that done. But more changes will come. Thank you very much for your patronage. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much